Jim, is this true? There was one night where you took up the whole evening and
everybody's
used
time.
up every other comedian on the bill's time on stage.
Exactly. I went to the Comedy Store with the express idea of getting in a war with the crowd.
Right.
And I did.
He called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late.
Has Jim Carrey been abducted, possibly murdered, and replaced by a lizard person doppelganger? I'm sure I don't know, but the internet seems to think so. Since we're living in truly the dumbest timeline ever, people online have taken it upon themselves to break down a new photo of Jim Carrey surfacing where he has bigger cheekbones, different eye color, and
in the shadowy corridors of Hollywood where power dictates silence and fame extracts a brutal price, one comedian has repeatedly warned us about the cost of speaking truth. Dave Chappelle, the man who turned his back on a $50 million empire, has been circling a disturbing pattern for nearly 2 decades. Now, with Jim Carrey's startling appearance at the 2026 César Awards in Paris, the conversation explodes once more. Viewers across the internet saw a man who looked familiar yet strangely altered, sparking wild theories of clones and body doubles. But Chappelle's message has never been about science fiction replacements. It is about something far more insidious. It is about an industry that chews up authentic voices and spits out compliant versions of stars. Chappelle saw it happening in his own career when Comedy Central pushed for a diluted version of his groundbreaking show. He refused to let them twist his creation into something unrecognizable. Instead, he walked away from everything most people dream of achieving. This decision was not madness but moral clarity. He has repeatedly described how the entertainment machine uses leverage, stress, and public dismissal to control its talent. Label someone crazy and the conversation ends before questions begin. Jim Carrey followed a similar path, stepping back from blockbuster comedies to explore philosophy, art, and uncomfortable truths in interviews. His recent look fueled speculation, but the deeper story lies in how Hollywood handles those who resist the script. Chappelle has connected dots involving major names like Sean Combs, Harvey Weinstein, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jackson. These are not random references. They represent a system that protects certain figures while punishing honesty. For years, Chappelle has used his platform to highlight how the environment itself is sick, not the individuals who break under its weight. As more allegations surface and old alliances come under scrutiny, his early warnings feel prophetic. The public is now asking what really happens behind the award shows and private parties. Chappelle's stand reminds us that courage means doing what is right even when fear is present and the money is immense. His journey from crisis of conscience to global icon offers a rare lens into the machinery that quietly replaces rebellious spirits with safer, marketable versions.
Jim Carrey recently, and I go, did you go to a bad surgeon, or did you go to the surgeon and said, like I did to my barber at 6, I want to look like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings?
Or
and they
sometimes
say, we can't do that.
Sometimes things have to settle more, and you just
True.
Because of life, you're like, oh, I forgot about this thing. I don't have 3 more weeks.
I think what happens is as it's getting like more normalized and popular, like we're looking at the specific features as opposed to like a collective. Like,
did the Illuminati clone Jim Carrey?
I don't think the moon landing was real. Do you think that I'm not going to believe this?
So in 2014, have you seen the clip of him on Jimmy Kimmel Live?
Yes, the one where we went like this.
It was a little weird for me. I didn't fully enjoy that.
You did that last week.
No, I didn't do that. You just did it now.
You did it last week.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
He claimed to be a whistleblower on the show.
What do you think I thought about that, Zach? Thought it was real.
Recently, he was seen on the red carpet at the 51st César Awards in Paris, France. His behavior and tone threw people off, and he didn't look like himself.
100%. And he was on.
Dave Chappelle's departure from Chappelle's Show in 2005 remains one of the most discussed exits in comedy history. At the height of his success with the series dominating cultural conversations, Comedy Central offered him a landmark $50 million deal. Most would have signed without hesitation, but Chappelle saw something deeper that troubled his conscience. He boarded a plane to South Africa, seeking clarity away from the intense pressures of Hollywood. In later reflections, he compared his choice to his father's principled stand against unethical business dealings, even at personal cost. This was not running from money but choosing integrity over compromise. He emphasized that decisions made in one generation echo forward, informing family and community. Chappelle has stressed that ethics serve as an internal compass distinguishing good from bad, while those who chase only better or worse become easily manipulated like mice in a maze. His stand-up routines and rare interviews paint Hollywood as an environment that files down what makes artists unique until only the controllable remains. This process is subtle at first, with networks requesting small changes that accumulate into something unrecognizable. Chappelle resisted becoming the version of himself that executives preferred. Years later, on Inside the Actor's Studio, he explained how the worst thing one can call a person is crazy because it dismisses their concerns without examination. This tactic, he observed, has been used against many talents, including those he respected. Jim Carrey's evolution from rubber-faced comedic force to a more introspective figure mirrors aspects of this dynamic. Carrey achieved massive success in the 90s with iconic roles but gradually distanced himself from the mainstream machine. His philosophical turns and honest admissions about identity made some uncomfortable. When Carrey appeared altered at recent events, the public fixated on physical changes rather than the systemic pressures both men have navigated. Chappelle's narrative suggests these are not isolated cases but symptoms of an industry that rewards compliance and sidelines authenticity. Through carefully chosen words across stages, he continues assembling a picture of leverage, power, and silence.
Always been Jim Carrey. What do you mean? Thank you so much for this award. And if I don't see you, good morning, good evening, and good night. Jim Carrey, Avril Lavigne, Selena Gomez, Paul McCartney, Elvis Presley. We've all who we've always been. Told you I'm Jim Carrey, so why wouldn't I be Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey has officially responded to the hundreds of conspiracy theories that he was cloned or replaced at the award show in France. Or if it was really a makeup artist that he hired as a stand-in for him, this is going to be the final and last update you'll need to know. So as we know, 64-year-old Jim Carrey went to the Caesar Awards last week looking very different. What really scared people though is that his eyes seem to have gone to a completely different color, from brown to green. And this Jim Carrey suddenly used his right hand to sign autographs even though he's a known lefty. The world was desperate for an explanation.
Jim Carrey's journey through Hollywood offers a compelling parallel to Chappelle's experiences. In the 90s, Carrey was arguably the most bankable comedic star, delivering unforgettable performances in films like The Mask, Ace Ventura, The Truman Show, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. His elastic expressions and high energy defined an era. Yet over time he stepped away from that formula, seeking meaning beyond fame. He turned to painting, expressed deeper philosophical views in interviews, and became more selective with projects. This shift puzzled many who preferred the earlier manic persona. Early in 2026, Carrey's appearance at the Caesar Awards in Paris ignited intense online debate. Observers noted changes in his look, leading to clone body double and extensive cosmetic work speculation. His ex Jenny McCarthy publicly confirmed it was indeed him and that he seemed happy. Discussions highlighted how aging celebrities often pursue fillers, Botox, and procedures that can dramatically alter familiar features when overdone. Carrey in his 60s appeared with fuller cheeks, creating an uncanny, youthful yet unnatural effect, according to commentators. Such transformations are common in Hollywood, where maintaining marketability drives many to subtle or not so subtle enhancements. Chappelle has never directly accused anyone of literal replacement, but he has detailed how the industry replaces original creative voices with diluted marketable ones. He experienced this pressure during his show's later seasons, where executives sought to strip away the substance while keeping the surface appeal. Carrey similarly faced questions about the types of roles offered and opportunities withheld as he moved toward authenticity. Both men encountered the stress of constant scrutiny and attempts to mold them into compliant figures. Chappelle's decision to walk away provided him perspective, while Carrey's path reflected internal resistance to being boxed in. Their stories illustrate the personal toll of navigating an environment that prioritizes control over individual integrity. As public fascination with Carrey's appearance grows, Chappelle's long-standing observations about Hollywood's machinery gain renewed relevance, exposing patterns that extend far beyond any single celebrity.
Jim Carrey's clone conspiracy continues, and now the actor himself hopes to set the record straight. Sources confirming to CNN conspiracy theorists are wrong, and Jim Carrey did accept his own award in France last week. Many, though, online believed his face looked different, to the point that it was actually someone else on stage. But according to Carrey's representatives, the person on stage was the man himself, Jim Carrey. And in the midst of all the controversy, it is important to remember the whole reason Carrey was there: to be honored for his contributions to the film and television industry.
The connections Dave Chappelle draws across Hollywood controversies reveal a consistent pattern of power protection and public narrative control. He has referenced figures like Sean Combs, Harvey Weinstein, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jackson not as isolated scandals but as symptoms of deeper systemic issues. During his 2025 Saturday Night Live monologue, Chappelle addressed the Diddy allegations with a mix of humor and pointed observation, noting the industry's long tolerance for problematic behavior among the powerful. The federal charges against Combs, including racketeering, trafficking, and transportation for prostitution, have opened wider conversations about unchecked influence at exclusive parties attended by major stars. Chappelle highlighted how silence becomes the safer career choice while speaking out invites being labeled difficult or unstable. This mirrors his own experience of being portrayed as having lost his mind after rejecting the massive deal. He has questioned why certain powerful individuals repeatedly align on the same side of controversies. Regarding Oprah Winfrey, Chappelle has raised quieter, uncomfortable questions about proximity to power without issuing direct accusations. Winfrey's platforming of voices critical of Michael Jackson and her past associations with figures later facing scrutiny have fueled public scrutiny. Jackson himself was outspoken about industry executives in his later years, describing practices that made powerful people nervous. Chappelle points to how the system defends those generating revenue while abandoning or discrediting those who challenge it. Harvey Weinstein's case exemplifies the open secret phenomenon where behavior was widely known yet tolerated for decades because of his ability to fund projects and careers. When allegations finally surfaced, many expressed shock despite prior knowledge. Chappelle uses these examples to illustrate institutional incentives to look away. His commentary focuses on the shape of relationships, who stands next to whom, who receives platforms, and who gets dismissed as crazy. This approach builds a picture of leverage and control rather than conspiracy. By refusing to compromise, Chappelle maintained his voice while others stayed silent to preserve access. These patterns, he describes, continue to surface as more accounts emerge, confirming the environment's sickness rather than individual failings.
A talk show like a week before or 2 weeks before, and he had short hair.
Yes, he was seen weeks before looking different and acting differently than this appearance. Few things that prove this theory correct.
Eye color.
Jim Carrey notoriously has brown eyes. His eyes were like a blue / like hazel in that video.
I couldn't tell. I'm colorblind.
While he was speaking during the interview, he said these quotes: "I'm dead." He also said, "My favorite funny face is the one I'm wearing right now."
Dave Chappelle has consistently emphasized that Hollywood's problems stem from the environment, not the people who struggle within it. He cites examples like Martin Lawrence's public breakdown in the 90s, where a tough performer was pushed to extremes, yet the narrative focused on personal failure rather than industry pressure. Similarly, Mariah Carey and Britney Spears faced intense scrutiny framed as instability. Chappelle himself was called unstable for his Africa trip, but he explained it as necessary escape from deliberate stress and attempts to question his sanity, including suggestions of medication. He stresses that strong people break when the system is sick. This perspective applies to Jim Carrey, whose shift away from mainstream blockbusters raised questions about withheld opportunities. Carrey's honest 2009 MTV Movie Awards admission about not knowing who he was anymore resonated with Chappelle's views on identity erosion. The replacement Chappelle describes is the gradual erasure of original voices through funding cuts, role redirection, and public dismissal. It is mundane yet effective. Networks and studios prefer controllable talent over unpredictable authenticity. Chappelle's refusal to wear a dress in a film scene despite pressure from writers, directors, and producers became a stand for personal boundaries. He noted the pattern of certain actors being asked to compromise dignity for laughs and rejected it outright. This integrity echoes his broader critique. With Carrey's recent public appearance reviving discussions, Chappelle's warnings feel timely. The comedian has spent years on stages and in interviews assembling evidence of a machine that rewards silence and punishes honesty. He connects his father's ethical choices to his own, demonstrating generational impact. Chappelle urges transcendence of obstacles through courage rooted in fear and community connection. His message transcends comedy, becoming a call to recognize systemic patterns. As allegations against powerful figures mount and old alliances face re-evaluation, the public begins seeing what Chappelle has described. The industry hopes audiences forget, but his consistent storytelling keeps the conversation alive, exposing how authentic stars are quietly redirected out of relevance while compliant versions thrive.
Here to save the day and end our confusion was special effects makeup artist Alexis Stone, who said basically she was hired to be a Jim Carrey stand-in at that award show because Jim doesn't like going to things like that. She even posted 3D renderings of her plan to become Jim Carrey and then posted the mask and the face and the hair and the teeth she was going to use. And this makeup artist has done some really convincing celebrity transformation. She even went to a red carpet as Jennifer Coolidge, and people really thought it was Jennifer Coolidge. And
Hollywood's handling of Harvey Weinstein exemplified the collective decision to ignore inconvenient truths for financial gain. For years, his behavior was an open secret tolerated because his name opened doors and generated revenue. Chappelle has spoken about this institutional protection not as grand conspiracy but human and business reality. When powerful producers fund careers, the incentive to overlook misconduct is strong. Weinstein's fall after numerous allegations became a watershed moment, sparking broader reckoning, though many questioned why it took so long. Oprah Winfrey's past photographs with Weinstein and her later public distancing drew scrutiny as part of larger patterns of association. She described the moment as triggering repressed pain across the industry and hoped it would end the era of women smiling through inappropriate behavior to protect careers. Chappelle's references to these events highlight how certain figures position themselves as moral authorities while maintaining questionable relationships. His point centers on proximity to power never being accidental. Similarly with Sean Combs, the lack of immediate denunciations from industry peers after serious allegations raised questions about complicity through silence. Chappelle joked about not attending such parties, but the underlying critique targeted the system's tolerance. Jim Carrey's story fits within this framework as someone who resisted being fully processed by the machine. His philosophical evolution and selective projects distanced him from mainstream expectations. The recent physical changes observed at awards shows sparked superficial theories, but Chappelle's lens directs attention to deeper pressures faced by those refusing to conform. Chappelle maintains that the worst dismissal is labeling someone crazy, shutting down dialogue. He has seen this applied repeatedly to talents who speak too freely. His own experiences with stress obstruction and sanity questioning during peak success informed his decision to leave. By walking away, he preserved his integrity and later secured even better deals on his terms. This demonstrates that resistance is possible, though costly. As Carrey's appearance revives public fascination, Chappelle's accumulated insights provide context for understanding why some stars seem altered not just physically but in voice and presence. The pattern persists across generations.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorites.
He says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes I do. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. And Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that.
The concept of replacement in Hollywood, as articulated through Dave Chappelle's observations, focuses on the systematic dilution of artistic integrity rather than literal clones. Studios and networks often seek to retain the commercial appeal of a star while removing elements that make them challenging or unpredictable. Chappelle encountered this when executives wanted a safer version of his show, stripping away the sharp social commentary that made it groundbreaking. He refused to participate in what he saw as cultural erosion. Jim Carrey faced analogous pressures as his interests shifted toward more introspective work. Offers changed and his public persona evolved in ways that distanced him from earlier commercial peaks. Chappelle has detailed how this process works through slow internal changes, funding shifts, and narrative control. Talents who resist find themselves redirected toward irrelevance, while those who comply maintain visibility. He uses examples like the dress incident to illustrate demands for compromising personal dignity under the guise of comedy tradition. His adamant refusal highlighted broader patterns affecting many black comedians and actors. This resistance preserved his authentic voice but came at professional cost initially. Over time, his principled stand enhanced his legacy. Chappelle connects these experiences to larger industry dynamics involving leverage over personal lives and careers. He emphasizes community, family, and ethical compasses as antidotes to manipulation. His father's story of quitting over South African business ties provided a model for prioritizing values over financial security. In interviews, Chappelle circles back to how good and bad serve as moral guides, unlike relative better or worse metrics that enable control. Jim Carrey's journey from peak fame to philosophical exploration mirrors the tension between industry expectations and personal truth. Recent public appearances amplify questions about how stars are reshaped both internally and externally. Chappelle does not claim infallibility and cautions against misinformation attributed to him. What remains verifiable is his consistent documentation of pressures that lead to career alterations. As more evidence emerges from legal cases and personal accounts, his early insights appear increasingly validated. The machine continues operating, but voices like his ensure the public cannot claim ignorance.
Did Jim Carrey piss off the Illuminati? Did they swap out his body and his soul for this new version? Unlikely, but it's caused such a firestorm online that I'm here to investigate. And to be honest, I am the right guy for the job. I've researched this man's life story a million times. I actually produced an acceptance award he made for a Canadian award show, and I got some never before seen footage I'm gonna share with you guys.
Years of Dave Chappelle's commentary have painted a coherent picture of Hollywood as a machine that processes talent through pressure, conformity, and selective narratives. He walked away from immense wealth to avoid compromising his vision and has since used his platform to highlight similar struggles faced by others including Jim Carrey. Carrey's iconic rise and later evolution away from mainstream expectations parallel Chappelle's journey of resistance. Recent appearances sparking debate about physical changes serve as entry points to deeper discussions about authenticity and industry control. Chappelle emphasizes that the environment is sick, encouraging strong people to break while protecting revenue generators. His references to Martin Lawrence, Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, and others illustrate how personal breakdowns are framed as individual failings rather than systemic outcomes. The dress incident in his own career became emblematic of demands that erode dignity. By refusing, he asserted boundaries that preserved his comedic essence. This stance informed his broader critique of leverage used against artists. Connections to figures like Diddy, Weinstein, Oprah, and Jackson reveal patterns of association, silence, and power. Chappelle does not traffic in unverified extremes but points to documented events, relationships, and outcomes. His call for ethical integrity over relative morality serves as guidance for navigating obstacles. He draws from family history to show how principled choices benefit future generations. As public scrutiny intensifies around Hollywood scandals, Chappelle's consistent message gains traction. He reminds us that courage exists alongside fear and community provides strength. Jim Carrey's path demonstrates that stepping back can lead to personal growth despite external misunderstanding. Together, their stories expose how original voices risk replacement through dilution or redirection. Chappelle's refusal to be silenced offers hope that authenticity can endure. Viewers are encouraged to reflect on these patterns, support independent voices, and demand better from the industry. Like this video, subscribe for more in-depth Hollywood analysis, and comment below with your thoughts on these connections. Keep questioning the narratives and stay connected to what matters.